Welcome back everybody to the Zelda Religionist. And today, we're going to talk about some of the things you can see, or should I say landmarks that you can see, in The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom opening shot of the reveal trailer. Now when I say opening shot, I don't mean this shot. I mean the title reveal screen, which is this shot. The shot of Princess Zelda walking away from the rift as it finally stopped expanding, and walking up that little dirt path to the edge of the cliff where she looks over at Hyrule Castle. There are some things you can see in that shot. Mainly, this cave entrance. Does that look slightly familiar to anybody? Also check these out. These little mountainous mounds of dirt / rock. There's a bunch of them strewn around in that field, isn't there? And those happen to be fairly close to Hyrule Castle itself. Also, this mountainous region that seems to be further back behind Hyrule Castle. Do any of these landmarks kind of ring anybody's bell that's played previous Zelda games? I'm thinking that Echoes of Wisdom is going to be taking place in the map of Hyrule that is from Link to the Past. Hear me out for a second. Those few landmark locations that I just described can be found in roughly about the same place that you would find them in the overworld map for Link to the Past. That cave on the lake, that's the Great Fairy's Fountain that serves as a wishing well that you can deposit your rupees into to get more bombs and arrow capacity. That big field full of rocky mounds that seems to be just off the side of Hyrule Castle, it's in A Link to the Past. If I'm not mistaken, you just take the side exit of Hyrule Castle, and you're in that field. And in Echoes of Wisdom, they seem to be about side and side. The big mountainous region that seems to be behind Hyrule Castle, in that opening shot, that's about where Death Mountain is in A Link to the Past. Now this is where it gets kind of iffy, because in that same shot, you can clearly see Death Mountain, or more so, the volcanic representation of Death Mountain that we've come to know from Ocarina of Time, Twilight Princess, and just about every other Zelda game, except for Zelda 2 Adventure of Link. So I'm not too sure about that yet, but come on. Looking at it, this has got to be the overworld map of Link to the Past for Echoes of Wisdom. Another point to this theory, it's in the engine used for Link's Awakening on the Switch, and in that story, you're the Link from A Link to the Past, who set out on a different adventure, left Hyrule, went out to the sea, in search of a new adventure. He gets caught in a storm, the raft wrecks, and he wakes up on an island in his head. That he managed to dream up. But whatever happened to Link after that? We may get our answer in Echoes of Wisdom. Because what if, after he woke up from his adventures in the island of Koholint, he came to, managed to get out of the ocean somehow, I don't know how yet, but let's just say some fishermen found him, or he was able to use the wreckage of his raft to support him long enough to get him to somewhere where he could safely be transported from that location back to his home in Hyrule. And this is some time after the events of Link's Awakening. Maybe not super long, but long enough that there is quite a bit of a time gap between A Link to the Past and Echoes of Wisdom. Because let's say you got a time gap between A Link to the Past and Link's Awakening, and you got a little bit more of a time gap between Link's Awakening and Echoes of Wisdom. That's a pretty big gap between Link to the Past and Echoes of Wisdom. And during that time, Hyrule has changed. So Link comes back, maybe meets up with Zelda, and just tries to, just settle back in from the rough time he's had. He's trying to readjust, the adventure didn't go so well, and he's back home now, just trying to get a moments of peace. When, like usual, Ganon comes back, as he tends to do. He immediately does what he does best. He captures Zelda, holds her up in Hyrule Castle, and Link's got to go through Hyrule Castle, once again, go up to the top, and instead of fighting Aghanim, he's fighting Ganon. And once Ganon's defeated, the spear's on the ground, Link's going to go free Zelda. The rift starts opening up from the base of the spear, swallows Link, he frees Zelda, and now it's her turn to save him. And once we get our Tri-Rod, learn how to use it from the Fairy Tri, and talk to the soldiers of Hyrule Castle, maybe even talk to the king if he's still around at this point, Zelda will set off on her adventure through Hyrule, and it'll be up to us as the player to guide her on her quest through this Hyrule. Now, if this is the same Hyrule from Link to the Past, what's going to be really cool is if we get to go to some of the dungeons from Link to the Past in Echoes of Wisdom. And it's going to be really cool to see how those same dungeons from A Link to the Past have changed in that time gap in between these two games. And maybe there'll be some new traps, some aspects of the temples may be different. We may even have to take some different paths and go through the temples a little bit differently than we did in Link to the Past. That's one reason I'm really hoping that this is the Hyrule from Link to the Past. Because I would love to see what they did differently and what new aspects they've introduced to these old dungeons that we've come to know and love from Link to the Past. And just find new ways to change them up and make you go through them differently than you did in the past. Also, the way I'm looking at it, it's kind of in the name, Echoes of Wisdom. Echoes, as in something from the past echoing to the present. In this case, the map of Hyrule. Now you could take all that with a grain of salt and think it would be cool, or maybe disagree, or think that it's just going to be a map of Hyrule inspired by Link to the Past, or any other of the 2D Zelda games, and that it's just going to be a completely new Hyrule. Or you can take this as what it truly is, as the mad ravings of a Zelda fan that just really wants to get back into the world of Link to the Past in a new Zelda game. Just because it would be cool. They did it before, in a generational sequel of Link Between Worlds, because it's a follow-up, but it's a new Link, a new Zelda, you know, it's the descendants, it's the next generation of Link and Zelda, however you want to look at it. It's the next Link and Zelda in the same world, and they definitely changed up the map in that game because I think there was a 100-year difference, or maybe even a multi-100-year difference. I don't remember, it's been a long time. But if they bring the map of Hyrule back in this game, and I'm correct that this Link is the same Link from Link to the Past, it's not going to be that big of a time gap, and it's going to be the same Link from that game, which means we're going to go into a Zelda game with a Link who already has a pre-established history that most of us already know. That's only happened a couple times. Majora's Mask. We went to that game knowing the previous adventures of that Link. Tears of the Kingdom. We just came off the heels of that Link's previous adventure. So I'm really hoping here that this Link is the same Link from Link's Awakening, which is in fact the same Link from Link to the Past, and therefore he's going back to his home Hyrule, and we're going to get to go in there again and just run wild and see what's changed. And I'm very excited about that, and God, I hope that's true. I really hope that's what they're doing here. But if they're not doing that, I'm still going to be happy in this Hyrule no matter what. Let's be real. I don't care what they do with it. I don't care which Link it is. I'm just going to be happy to be once again going through Hyrule, playing a Zelda story, going on this adventure, and just seeing what kind of things I can do in there. But I think I rambled on about this idea enough. So, I'm going to call the video there, and until September 26th, I'm just going to be super excited and wait, and try to wait patiently for September 26th. It's not going to happen, I'll tell you that right now. I can't wait patiently for this game. I want it now. But that'll be it for this episode of the Zelda Religionist. I hope you all enjoyed, and until the next time I see you, you all take care.